Hello, Mr. Wells. Hi, it's me.
What? Who is this?
So, you don't know me, but I'm from the future, and I'd just like to say, your movie that you made 80 years ago, dare I say, a flop?
And what makes you think I care? I don't even know who you are. And besides, any opinion that you have against Citizen Kane is invalid because I know I put my whole arsonissy into the production of that film. So you can eat dust, cowboy.
I would just like to say that although many people might consider your movie a flop, I took some time to appreciate it. Did I like it at first? Probably not, but I've learned to appreciate it, and I just thought you should know that.
I don't have time for this conversation. Anyway, thank you for the nice remarks, but I need to tell my googly-eyed wife to meet me at this clock tower, which I know she's gonna fail, because she's not that girl. Anyway, good night, and let me rest.
Oh, you don't care? Oh, well, Alright. You're gonna see this phone show up in other videos. Hello, everyone. Let's get into the video. Okay, happy 2022. It is the new year and first full video on the main channel. I am looking forward to getting into this movie analysis synopsis video. So for this video, I'm going to be covering the 1941 film titled Citizen Kane by Orson Welles. And let me just say this. I had never heard of this film until about almost 5 years ago, until I was on a really crazy thing. I was on a movie set almost 5 years ago. And one of the people I was working with asked me, what do you think is the best regarded film of all time? I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking like some kind of like Steven Spielberg movie or any Steven Spielberg movie. And then he mentioned Citizen Kane. He said that movie is one of the best, if not the best movie of all time. And didn't really think that much of it until fast forward last May, I watched this movie for the first time. And isn't it weird? I watched this movie, it's streaming on HBO Max, and it's so amazing to me how we're able to watch films or pieces of work or art from 50 plus years ago, and we're able to stream it from any kind of device. You don't even have to watch it in a theater, which is so amazing to me. But yeah, I watched this movie on HBO Max last May, and after watching it, at first I was like, wow, that kind of felt underwhelming a little bit. But then the more I thought about it and the more I sat with it, I'm like, you know what, this would be a good idea for a video in the future. And here we are. It's January 15th, 2022 to be exact. I think now, after researching for this video and then also learning more about it over the past couple months, I've began to develop a full appreciation and admiration for this movie, because this movie or this film broke boundaries, I think. So how I'm going to set this video up for the people who are not familiar with this film, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history and the backstory of it, and going a little bit more in depth about some interesting facts you may not have known about before. Then I'm going to quickly summarize what happened in the movie, and then I'm going to include a little voiceover clip towards the end of the video, and then I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. And I'll give final thoughts about it, and then that's it. Okay, so for starters, let's go over a little bit of the history of this movie in case you're not familiar with American cinema or like movie history in general. For starters, Citizen Kane is one of the best, if not the best regarded film of all time in American cinema history or American film history. Also, side note, I'm not going to go over every single detail of this movie. There's so many details to count. So I'm just going to include some of the facts and details that I thought were most relevant to this video and what I'm going to be talking about. This movie was directed by Orson Welles, and he also starred in it. The screenplay was by Orson Welles and then Herman J. Mankiewicz. Citizen Kane won Best Original Screenplay back in 1942 at the Academy Awards, which I think that was the 14th Academy Awards, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Altogether, it was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, but it only won 1 award, which I thought was interesting, since Citizen Kane was one of the best regarded films at the time. I'm kind of surprised it only won 1 Academy Award. Citizen Kane was originally released on September 5th, 1941, so 2021, last year, would have been 80 years since the film came out. So, one of the reasons why Citizen Kane was such a monumental film at the time, so Orson Welles was already an established movie actor, and Citizen Kane was his first film debut, his first film that he ever directed, and he had full creative control over it, like the film industry. And at the time, the film industry, and there was a production company at the time called RKO. They didn't have any involvement with it, so he was pretty much involved in a lot of the process of creating this movie. He directed it, acted in it, wrote the screenplay. I will put the links in the description of where I got this information from, but there was one fact from the website that I thought was quite interesting. So in the movie, the word rosebud is very significant in this movie, and if you are a film major or hoping to major in film, that's going to be very important. And it just so happens that Steven Spielberg owns one of the original sleds, or probably not original, but he owns the Rosebud sled. As of right now, it's unclear if he still has the sled in his possession, but the Rosebud sled was originally put on for auction, and Spielberg bought it. I never really thought about this before, but there was a movie that came out late 2020. It's called Mank. After doing a little bit of research for this movie, I kind of would like to watch Mank now. It was nominated at the 2021 Academy Awards last year, and I have yet to watch it, but I think I am going to watch it this time. Mank follows Herman J. Mankiewicz and his journey to create the script for Citizen Kane. That movie gives a little bit more background to the actual movie Citizen Kane. It just gives like a little bit more detail and more background. Okay, I think that about covers it. If there's anything I missed or anything that's important, then I'll put it in later. But I will quickly summarize what happens in this movie. So it starts off with Charles Foster Kane as a little boy, and his parents are really poor.
This one is for the boys with the booming system, top down AC with the cooling system. When he come up in the club, he be blazing up. Got stacks on deck like he's saving up. And he ill, he fail, he might got a deal. He pop bottles and he got the right kind of bill. He cold, he dope, he might suck. He always in the air, but he never fly couch. He about to drip, drip, fill out the drip, drip. When he make it drip, drip, kiss him on a lip, lip. That's the kind of dude I was looking for. And yes, you'll get slapped if you.
So the movie opens up with Charles Foster Kane as a little boy living with his parents. There is a man that comes over and he talks to Kane's parents. The main point is that this person is well established and he has a very successful career. And his parents are like, well, we don't have the sufficient funds to care for this little boy, so we're just gonna send him off to live with this man and be his apprentice and learn from him. From like a logical perspective, yikes, but his parents were just looking out for him because they knew they wouldn't be able to care for him in the way that he knew that he needed. So they were like, this man is going to be able to take care of you better than we will, and you're going to have a much better life with him rather than your own parents, which is kind of sad, honestly. Kane lives with this man in the big city, and he learns to handle money, I guess. And then fast forward, I'm skipping over a lot of details, but he eventually becomes like the head of this newspaper, and he gets a lot of acclaim, a lot of fame and money, and a lot of people work under him, and a lot of people that he works with aspire to him, and they just admire him a lot. Oh, I guess I should have said this at the beginning, but the movie starts with the end, because the movie begins with Kane's death, and his last words were Rosebud. And a whole bunch of reporters are like, what the heck does this mean? We got to investigate, because he got a lot of money, and maybe it means something. So then it follows this reporter, and he interviews a bunch of people from Kane's past, and he interviews like, what was he like? And did he say anything about Rosebud? Anything about all this stuff? So the movie kind of goes along, going back and forth from flashbacks to the present scenes. So anyway, going back to what I said earlier about him in the past, of him being at the top of this newspaper. So I really think that Kane doesn't really have like a full comprehension of human emotions and relationships, because he really views everything from or almost everything from a business or financial standpoint. You'll kind of see later in the film, he views almost everything as kind of like two-dimensional, because when he is talking with his wife Susan, or I guess his second wife Susan, she wants all these things. Like, she wants to be a singer. And he's like, you want to be a singer? I'll build you an opera house. Viewing Kane's characterization from a larger perspective, him growing up with a person that was not his family, and then he proceeded to grow into this acclaimed businessman with a lot of material things, and he kind of has his life revolve around that. He kind of lost out on the emotional aspect of his life, because if he would have grown up to know the struggle of it is to live in a low-income family and to really struggle and work his way up to the top, he lost out on the relatability with the people, with like the common citizens. Oh my gosh. Wait, I just having a realization. It's called Citizen Kane, but he never really was a citizen of the people. He was taken from this low-income family and then almost immediately brought into this high-income environment. That doesn't really make any sense, but he was brought up into this environment with a lot of wealthy people, and that's pretty much all he's ever known. And then he wants to run for mayor, and he wants to relate to the common citizens, but because he lost out on that relatability with living with his family, he can't really perceive what their struggles are, which is one of his flaws. I think I might be missing out on something there. I'm not sure. But I think that's one of the main points of his character. Oh, you know how, like, this is a side note. So you know how, like, if you give everything to a person that wants something or that have a desire for it, it's probably most of the times doesn't have the greatest outcome for that person. Like, you're not really taking into account of, if I give this to this person, am I really thinking about what's good for them, or is it just like a want? Like, separating between wants and needs. So pretty much that opera house thing, her being a singer, that fails, and he gathers up all his money to move to this place called Xanadu, and he has this big old mansion there, and he has a whole bunch of art, statues, money, like everything, like a whole bunch of rich stuff or a lot of expensive items are in this mansion on Xanadu, which I think that's the name of the mansion or the island, one of the two. And I'm skipping over a lot of details, but Mrs. Kane, oh yeah, he doesn't allow her to go anywhere. Like, she has to be with him at all times, because there's one moment where they're in this mansion and she's like building this puzzle, and she's like, I want to go out, and he's like, why? You have everything you could want right here. Why would you want to go anywhere? So he has like a very restricting power over his wife. And then soon she's like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. You're going to have to figure it out. And when I'm thinking about this is really taken out of context. But you know that one scene in The Notebook where I've seen so many times where he's like, what do you want? And she's like, it's not that simple. And he's like, what do you want? It's not that simple. Or whatever. I haven't even seen The Notebook, but that clip in this scene or in this context pretty much sums it up.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
Once Susan leaves him, now he just feels lost and he has all this stuff and no one to share it with. Fast forward again, he dies. And that's where the story picks up. And then from then on, we realize that Rosebud was the name of his sled that he was playing with at the beginning of the movie when he was with his family and just outside having a good old time by himself. The word Rosebud symbolizes the innocence that he once had. Or I guess he did have that sled with him in the mansion, and then we see it get burned up at the end, which kind of symbolizes the eradication of childhood. It was kind of taken away from him once his parents sent him off. I'm skipping over a lot of details, but that's basically what happens in Citizen Kane. So how do I feel about it now? Since Citizen Kane is one of the best movies ever made, after watching it in 2021, so I don't know, I might get a whole bunch of disapproving opinions on what I'm about to say, but I don't think it's a movie you're missing out on. Like, you could go your entire life and not watch it, and you're not going to be enlightened. I don't really think it's that kind of movie. Maybe it is for some people. You're not going to be like, wow, I really missed out on life because I didn't watch this movie. You see what I'm saying? I think that pretty much sums it up. So this next segment I'm going to introduce is this voiceover clip that I will eventually do. I have not done it yet, but you will see it. How I got this idea for this clip that I am about to show you. I saw this video on YouTube. It was this guy, I'll put his channel name in the description so you can watch this video, but he did an incredible job. He did a voiceover with the Uruk-hai in the Lord of the Rings and did like a voiceover of the orcs in the movie and voiceover with his actual voice rather than the disgruntled, barely comprehensible noise that all the orcs make. It's really clever and I'm kind of jealous that I didn't think of it before. But yeah, he did a whole bunch of different videos. I think his channel name is BurtBot. I'll link the channel below in the description. This scene you're about to watch, it is of Mr. Leland, and he is going to write this scathing review over Susan Alexander Kane and how she a big old flop, and she stinks, does not sing good at all. He about to publish this article in his newspaper, and Kane is like, I don't think so. I'm gonna finish your review for you, Mr. Leland. And Mr. Bernstein's like, you do whatever, you're the boss. I'm not going to challenge you on that. Go ahead. And it just so happens that Mr. Leland was drinking and he like fell asleep on his typewriter. So he was like, let me do a lot of typey and make this review. And he went. So I was gonna do another scene, but I'm not sure how much of the clip from the movie I can include in this actual video because that is definitely copywritten footage. I'm not sure how much of it I can include in this video and not get this video taken down. So I'm just going to do this little short clip. But yes, let's go ahead and go into that clip right now. Hello, Bernstein. Hello. Hello, Mr. Leland. Where's my notice, Bernstein? I've got to finish my notice. Mr. Kane is finishing it for you. Charlie? Charlie? Charlie out there? I guess he's fixing it up. I knew I'd never get that through. Mr. Kane is finishing your review just the way you started it. You're writing a bad notice, like you wanted it to be. I guess that'll show you. Okay. Hello, Jedediah. Hello, Charlie. I didn't know we were speaking. Sure we're speaking, Jedediah. You're fired. Get out of my office. You're fired. Alright, that's it. Okay, I think that pretty much sums this video up. I hope you're able to gain some knowledge over Citizen Kane and what it means for cinema history. It's such a important piece in the golden age of Hollywood. It's really interesting to see certain pieces of art or work or film many decades before and try and frame it through a modern lens and seeing what you can attain or seeing what you can obtain from that past example of work. Oh yes, this is kind of a side note, but I have a Letterboxd account. Letterboxd is an app where you can look up any movie or film or short film, and you can see reviews made by other people, you can see ratings, and you can share your own list and create your own reviews on movies. I will link the profile I have in the description in case you're open to seeing what I like to review on that app. I need to say a couple things for the channel in general, but if you're just here for the Kane video, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Okay, for the returning subscribers and the people who are wondering what direction are you going to take your channel in 2022, this is very much overdue, but the reaction to K-pop boy band part 2, that will be the next video coming up. And I have a couple groups which I know I'm going to do reactions to their videos. So if I get like a whole bunch of requests from a specific group or video, then I will react to it. I said in the past one that I was going to do like a Google Docs thing in like Instagram. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the people who are going to leave requests are going to stay on YouTube, which is totally okay. But yeah, K-pop boy band reaction part 2 is going to be the next one. And then I'm going to make a best albums video of 2021, which will be the video after that. Yes, and one more thing. Don't forget to check the links in the description. I left a link about Lauren Smith Fields. She's a missing woman, and a whole bunch of their authorities are not doing much about her case. They're not looking too much into her case. And her family need answers on her whereabouts, and it seems like there's nothing being done about her case. So I will leave information about her, as well as some other links that I will eventually post. But other than that, thank you for watching, and thank you for a great year in 2022. Thank you for a great year in 2021. And it's crazy to think, like this May, I would have been making videos for 2 years already, which, that's so weird to think about. 2020 is 2 years ago. I'm rambling. I'm going to stop before I go any further. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.